With the upcoming release of Xenoverse 2, and with it the return of Tony, Iced and Max Stone, I've decided to do something a bit different today. The Dragon Ball series, across its many incarnations, specials and movies— No! Not that one! No! Is one of the biggest and longest running animated shows in history, with its mix of action, comedy, drama, long moments of staring, screaming, steroid use, etc. And since I haven't done a top 10 list in a while, and clearly the majority of my subscribers are DBZ fans, we're going to do a rundown of my own favourite moments from throughout the Dragon Ball series, from Dragon Ball to Z, Super, and GT. Yeah, we're not going to go there. Number 10. Our first moment in this countdown is actually one of the franchise's earliest bigger moments. Goku vs Jackie Chun, or for those who don't know the original Dragon Ball story, the alter ego of Goku's first teacher, Master Roshi, during the World Martial Arts Tournament. I really like this whole setup. I love all the tournament parts of the series anyway, from this one all the way to the latest Xenoverse 7 contest in Super. It's a nice break from the bad guy wants to fuck shit up stories which make up the rest of the Dragon Ball series. And I love these moments because you never really know what the outcome is going to be, and it's no less so for this one. So, a young Goku has been training with Roshi, wanting only to become the best fighter he can be. Eventually, along with Krillin and Yamcha, Goku finally gets to fight in the World Martial Arts Tournament, or the Tanaki Budokai, or whatever it's pronounced. However, unknown by the rest of the group, Master Roshi too has signed up, under the alias Jackie Chun. And long story short, the finale comes down between Master and student, Roshi and Goku. Now, if you've only ever seen Dragon Ball Z, you'll know Roshi as the senile old pervert with the turtle, and for the most part, yeah, that's his only role in Z, plus briefly joining the battle against Golden Frieza's army in Resurrection F, but hey-ho. And while he's of course still that in Dragon Ball too, the actual martial arts master side of him has a lot more opportunity to shine, in between being a creepy old man. Nothing highlights this more so than Jackie Chun. Roshi enters the tournament with the sole intention of preventing Goku from winning. But why? Goku may not know himself, but Roshi has no doubt Goku was already at the top of his league. If Goku wins at such a young age, on his first appearance at such a tournament, then what's the point in trying harder? What more drive will he have if he's already best in the world?
I'm afraid that if they knew, they would lose interest, because if you're on the top, then there's nothing left to shoot for. But if they think that there are guys out there that are stronger than they are, like Jackie Chun, for instance, then they'll continue to give it everything they have, training like the wild animals they really are, totally carefree and uninhibited, without a trace of ego. So, Nam, I don't want Goku and Krillin to know how great they really are. That's why I came to beat the pants off of them.
It's actually a really important lesson. I mean, imagine if Roshi hadn't intervened and Goku stopped caring about training and fighting. Then again, on the flip side, the androids would never be built, and Dr. Gero would go on to dedicating his life to curing cancer or something. Then the future wouldn't be awful. Who knows the possibilities? Anyway, the fight itself is great. Straightforward martial arts, before any of the characters could fly, when a 12 volts Kamehameha was the only excessive ability on show, and overall, a pretty good lesson. And it worked, with Goku feeling even more drive to win next time. It's heartwarming and tense, and with no good guy versus big scary monster dude. Well, apart from the one giant monkey. With Dragon Ball, I of course love the huge chaotic battles, but I also love the genuine sportsman-like contests like this. Part of the reason why the Buu saga bummed me out so much, I actually wanted to see how the tournament was going to end. Thanks, Vegeta. But anyway, one of the highest points in the original Dragon Ball, and a great character and character building moment for both the series' central hero and his first master. Oh, Roshi. Never change.
So, tell me what you like best about the tournament.
I don't really find the fighting enjoyable. I like the costumes.
Me too.
Number 9. While action and violence and all that good stuff is a huge part of the show, you have to remember, at its heart, this shit's still a comedy. And while Z always erred more on the side of blowing shit up and returning everything to normal with Dragon Balls afterwards, it's still home to some of the most bullshit, what the fuck was that, funsies in one of Dragon Ball's best moments of self-parody. When the bio-android creation Cell held the world hostage, issuing a challenge to all fighters to defeat him in his perfect form, the battle known as the Cell Games was to decide the fate of the planet. Broadcasted to the world, humanity saw its greatest champion, the world's strongest man, Hercule Satan, heroically wear the monster cell down. Oh, and these nobodies also did some stuff to help, probably, I don't know. And though the broadcast was cut before the end, a 100% historically faithful reconstruction was produced so that the world might finally know what happened that day.
Ha! It is I, Cell, who will instead beat you. Ha!
Let's fight now.
Oh, here, take that.
This glorious monstrosity featured at the World Martial Arts Tournament during the later Boo saga captured every one of our beloved characters with stunning authenticity. And what's best, they were all there to watch it. Even Goku, and he was dead at the time.
It's sickening.
This shit's gold. That's all there is to it, boiling down the worst of DBZ melodrama to its essences.
You gang of strangers, we're not hard, but easy.
Rats, we have lost.
But the other thing I love about this is that the show is actually establishing that this huge, cataclysmic event in its history, which was broadcast to the public, is actually remembered. It would be far too easy, and they have done it before, to have the world just forget about that one time a killer bio-android who'd already murdered the population of several cities held our planet hostage. But it being several years down the line at this point, society's reached that magical point of being able to take the piss. Just like with World War II. And, I don't know, 9/11.
I'm losing.
There's not really much more to say about this, honestly. It's equal parts hilarious and painful, just knowing that in the show, the world believes that the admittedly lovable fraud, Mr. Satan, saved the planet, while the real heroes go unknown and ridiculed.
Mr. Satan is great.
I wish I were him.
Yeah, that's really all I got. I just love it.
I am beaten.
Number 8. More than anything else, the Namek Saga is probably the most iconic part of Dragon Ball Z. Bluegrass, green water, weird, round trees, and of course crazy battles. But it's actually kinda easy to forget that a good chunk of it isn't just fighting. In fact, the whole first half is actually really good adventure, centered around, who'd have thought, after such a long departure from the old formula, collecting Dragon Balls. For the first half of this lengthy multi-season arc, it's less about fighting and more about avoiding fights, guile, and actually some quite smart planning and tactics in a three-way tug-of-war over the giant dragon-spouting magic wish balls. Between the remaining heroes after the Saiyan saga, hoping to revive their fallen comrades, Vegeta, returning after his defeat on Earth to have a second go at immortality, and a new player in the form of Vegeta's boss, Emperor Frieza. Three factions trying to collect all 7 Dragon Balls, or at best, prevent the other sides from doing the same, makeshift alliances of convenience, and of course, intervals of extreme violence, which in the end comes down to one great final moment, the summoning of the dragon. This scene alone encapsulates all the tension of the entire arc up until this point, with multiple angles at work, a metaphorical ticking clock, an angry vegetable man, steroids dragon, language barriers, pressure! Basically, after defeating the Ginyu Force, finally collecting all 7 balls, and acquiring the password in the form of Dendy, wow, this sounds like a goddamn video game level, doesn't it? Team, woefully unprepared for this shit, decide to take this golden opportunity while Vegeta, of Team Vegeta, is preoccupied. This is when shit gets real though. As soon as Purunga is summoned by Dendy, they sense someone approaching, fast, and pissed. And at the same time, guess who's back and not happy about you backstabbing little shits being backstabbing little shits? Vegeta gives an ultimatum. Wish me immortal, or I kill you! And then Frieza kills me! And then Frieza kills everything! It's a standoff between Dendy, the only one able of requesting any wish, Vegeta, who killed a bunch of Dendy's people, and who might probably kill them, Frieza, who killed the rest of Dendy's people and is gonna definitely kill them, and Krillin, who just wants to get through a season without dying. Meanwhile, the Grand Elder Guru, creator of the Dragon Balls and holder of 90% of the planet's biomass, is on his last breaths, and with him, go the Dragon Ball's power. This is purest Dragon Ball drama, and I love it. In the end, Krillin relents, tells Dendy to make Vegeta's wish, banking on the lesser of two evils hypothesis, and...
So, I guess
we're back to where we started from. I was about to kill you guys for betraying me, wasn't I? Yes, I remember now. That was it. Okay, who's for...
How bad can Frieza really be? Number 7. Frieza commits planet-wide genocide with the flick of a finger. Yep. Bardock, father of Goku, was a DBC 50-minute special telling the story of, funnily enough, Goku's real father, the Saiyan warrior Bardock. The fate of Bardock and the Saiyans in general was alluded to a few times in the show. Upon first meeting the last survivors of his Saiyan race, Goku is told how his homeworld was destroyed by a meteor. Vegeta, having been brought up within the slave armies of Frieza, only learns the true fate of his people, including his father, the King of Vegeta, on Namek. And during his face-off against Goku, Frieza recounts an encounter he once had against a warrior who looked just like him. The full story, though, is told in this special, in which, shortly after Goku's birth and departure as a baby to conquer Earth, Bardock is imbued with the power of foresight by the last survivor of an alien race he and his crew are sent to wipe out, while, you know, doing the whole Saiyan thing. Now you'd think this power would be like, oh great, now I can see the future! But turns out the future is kind of fixed. Someone should have probably told Trunks that, saving the trip. In sporadic visions, Bardock sees Frieza blowing up Vegeta. No, not the planet Vegeta. There we go. While all his comrades think he's gone crazy, Bardock leads a one-man assault on Frieza's ship as it makes an unannounced visit to the planet. All in all, it's another one of those tragic stories that you'll probably come to realise through this list I'm usually quite a fan of. Of not even a heroic or even a very good person, but just the only one to see what was coming, and the only hope, even in vain, of preventing it.
It's not too late, Father, to be different than him.
Climbing those steps, bleeding out and going half mad with random visions of the future, it's all build up to the inevitable. As the ship appears in orbit, his fears are finally realised and Bardock sees no other course than to be a total motherfucking badass! Finally, in a scene repeated in parts of the show itself, the lone Saiyan rebel faces off against the tyrant, and with all his Saiyan rage, fires a blast directly at... Oh. Well, shit. Yes, the story of the Saiyans did not end well. In the end, for all his sins, Bardock was given the foresight to see his own demise, and yet have no power to prevent it. A fitting punishment of sorts, and yet, in his final moments, his visions do become clearer, showing his son growing up on Earth, not as a conqueror as intended, but alongside its inhabitants. And lastly, Bardock sees that his son will be the one to finally defeat Frieza and avenge the Saiyan race. And then time travel happened! Number 6. Death is a big part of Dragon Ball. Or at least a very prolific part. To be honest, the overuse of bring everyone back who was killed by the bad guys, but particularly the named characters, has very much cheapened a lot of the loss and destruction in the series as it's gone on. However, back in a time when dying was at least a little bit more than just an inconvenience and a 12-month all-expenses-paid trip to Otherworld, Piccolo sacrificing himself to save Gohan. Now, aside from the, at least at the time, perceived finality of this death, with the existence of the Dragon Balls tied to the life of Piccolo himself, through Kami, the Orb's original creators, and Piccolo's good alter ego, yeah, there's a lot of backstory there. Basically, Piccolo die, no Dragon Ball wishy-backs. The real reason for this pick can only be appreciated by fully understanding the character of Piccolo. As mentioned, there's a lot of backstory. Brief version. A being called Kami wished to be the Guardian of Earth, Earth's watcher and protector of sorts. Basically the series' equivalent to God until, King Yama, who was then immediately superseded by King Kai, who then kinda turned out to be under the Grand Kai, who was made totally irrelevant by the Supreme Kai, who was kinda just bitched to the Elder Kai. Then of course there's the Gods of Destruction who outweighed all of them, Then of course there was Whis and Vados, who are even stronger than the gods of destruction. And now there's the Omni King, who I swear is just Goma in a disguise. So yeah, basically Kame wanted to be the guy who makes the coffee for the receptionist at middle management. However, in order to be pure enough for this position, he split his good side of his personality from his bad, creating in the process Piccolo. This King Piccolo was eventually killed by young Goku in Dragon Ball. However, before dying, he essentially makes a backup copy of himself, hoping this Piccolo Jr. will fulfill his blah blah nope. So by the start of Dragon Ball Z, Goku and Piccolo remain rivals, both training for an eventual rematch, but with the arrival of the Saiyans as a mutual enemy, and Goku going for one more of them expenses paid trips, Piccolo takes it upon himself to manage the defense of the planet, and in the training of Goku's son, Gohan. So getting to the point, Piccolo sacrificing himself for Gohan during the battle against Nappa and Vegeta is a fulfillment of Piccolo's character arc, from evil to good. And it's all thanks to this whiny little shit that he kidnapped and spent the last 6 months beating the shit out of. Child abuse jokes aside, it's a really beautiful moment when Piccolo makes this drastic decision to save the only person to ever see him as something other than a monster. It's shit like this which is why Piccolo is one of my favourite characters. And yeah, it's pretty much universally agreed that he's a far better father to Gohan than Goku is. It's a great moment. Of course Piccolo returns in the next saga, but to be fair, it's a longer lasting death than most. And the voyage to Namek, as turns out to be Kame and Piccolo's homeworld, and the introduction of Frieza is all triggered by Gohan's determination to revive his mentor. Oh, and Tien and Chaozu as well. Is that everyone? Yeah, I think that's it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Number 5. I featured a lot of dramatic and story-based moments on this list, but of course that's not the main draw of this series to most, so it's probably about time I actually spoke about the fighting. Huge in scale and scope, explosive, pretty much inevitable collateral damage, and at least 30 or 40 minutes of staring. There are countless moments of pure action, but easily one of the best in the entire series occurs in Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods between Goku and Beerus, the God of Destruction. At this point in the film, Goku has achieved the power of a Super Saiyan God, granted to him by the combined energies of 5 other Saiyans, with of course Vegeta calling dibs on being God next time. The scene in question starts midway through the fight during a break in the combat. So, first things first, the animation is fucking incredible. But of course, being a feature film, they had the budget, so a made-for-TV 20-minute episode isn't really going to compare. Regardless though, it's a spectacle, and for a DBZ action scene, that's what it needs to be. In such a short space of time, there are so many individual shots that I just love. As the fighting continues in this subterranean cavern, water droplets are thrown into the air and appear suspended, just because the speed these two are fighting is ludicrous. Beerus' blast attack barrage looks and sounds amazing. The two of them blasting into orbit, bouncing off each other, Goku's Kamehameha, and of course, Beerus' final attack with Goku hopelessly struggling against it. It's truly, frame by frame, excellent. Especially this one. The music too, between epic, God of War-like orchestral for the first half, into stupidly catchy hero by flow until the end, helps make this easily one of the best fight sequences in the franchise. In fact, from a purely visual point of view, taking into account animation and everything else, I'd be pretty confident in saying this is the best action Dragon Ball has ever produced. But with all that said, why isn't it higher on the list? Well, simply put, while a fantastic scene, it does lack some of the tension of a battle in the series itself, the likes of Final Form Frieza, Perfect Cell, and Kid Buu. But this isn't necessarily a fault of the Battle of Gods movie itself. The fight feels tamer in many ways because it is. Beerus, one of my favourite characters after this movie by the way, pretty much every scene he's in is just gold, isn't a straight up villain. His only motivation is having a good fight. That and pudding. Throughout the scene he never fights at full strength, only trying to draw out Goku's own abilities. And, minus a few moments of lost temper, it does feel more like a training spar than a fight for the survival of the planet. Not to say that it lacks drama entirely. He might be pretty cool, but we also know Beerus is a crazy motherfucker and unpredictable. So we don't quite know how it's going to end. Not to mention Goku's god powers wear off partway through the fight without him realising. Though he manages to carry on keeping up with Beerus in what seems to be a cliched case of, "You didn't need any magic god powers, the strength was in you all along."
Spargle's magic ingredient was
Water! Ordinary water! No! Yes, ordinary water, laced with nothing more than a few spoonfuls of LSD.
Speaking of unpredictability, not strictly part of the scene I'm discussing, but a huge reason why I love the Battle of Gods in general, is the conclusion. Goku loses. This goes totally against traditional DBZ formula, and as promised, for losing the battle, Beerus makes good on his vow to destroy the Earth.
Well, look at that, Lord Beerus. You destroyed Earth like you said you would, just not very much of it.
Oh, Beerus, we love you, you crazy cat bastard. Number 4. This entry on our list shares a lot in common with number 6. Both involve a death, and something of a closing of a character arc. Biting the dust this time, however, the Dragon Ball anti-hero, Vegeta. So, remember when Frieza was pissed earlier? Many episodes of ass-kicking later, Vegeta finds himself facing off against Frieza's 4th and final form, representing the purest, greatest and least restrained show of his power. Unfortunately, the Prince of all Saiyans comes up a little short. Cause he's short. And while Krillin, Piccolo and Gohan watch helplessly from the sidelines, Veggie endures the beating of a rapidly shortening lifetime. Several scenes of drowning, kidney punts and general ass kickage later, oh look who it is doing a Goku and appearing at the last second. Goku! This is when things get interesting though. From the moment Vegeta first appeared in the show as the primary antagonist of the first arc of Z, he has hated Goku. Even his reason for being on Namek centered around gaining the immortality needed to eventually defeat both Frieza and Kakarot. But in this moment of total defeat, he makes something of an admission. Goku, not him, will be the one to realize the Super Saiyan legend and be the one to avenge the Saiyan race. This is a huge thing for Vegeta. The entire saga has been about him becoming the Super Saiyan. Now I'm a Super Saiyan. Okay, not that time, but now for sure I'm a Super... Oh god! And it's a shame really. Compared to every other character, he's been more on the ball than any of them this saga. Despite being their rival, he kept Krillin and Gohan alive during the Ginyu battle, he had outsmarted Frieza a number of times, only being outdone by Bulma's Dragon Radar, which, to be fair, he didn't even know was a thing. And he was the first to exchange blows with Frieza himself. For him to have come so far only to act as a placeholder to another is... sad. And for the pride-obsessed Saiyan warrior, this is the worst thing about it, even worse than dying itself. Goku is frankly a moron, who knows nothing about his Saiyan heritage, nor of what this battle against Frieza meant for Vegeta. It was revenge, and in the first true opening up of Vegeta as a person, he relays it all to Goku, about how the Saiyans were pawns of Frieza, made to do his bidding, even serving faithfully until Frieza wiped them out. Even in a moment of self-admission of his evil ways, Vegeta says, "He made me what I am."
Destroy Frieza. He made me what I am. Don't let him do it to anyone else. Whatever it takes, stop him. Please.
It's a great, emotional, hard-hitting scene, and apart from Frieza's out-of-the-moment jibes,
he's just a corpse and he's still blabbing. I'll have to gag him to shut him up.
it's easily one of the saddest moments of the series, and one of the best moments of Vegeta's character. Now, of course, he not only comes back, but has a second death several seasons down the line during the Buu saga, under different circumstances, this time a more honourable self-sacrifice, albeit in vain, driven by his newfound desire to protect his family, Bulma and Trunks. This in itself is another fantastic scene, and you know what, gonna shove this in here as a 4.5. If his death on Namek marked the closure of Vegeta's character as a villain, his sacrifice on Earth marked the beginning of his transition to hero, having always remained somewhere firmly in the middle during the entire Android and Cell sagas, even then determined to have his rematch against Goku and to achieve strength at any cost to others. This self-centricism ends when he finally gives himself for others against the invincible Majin Buu, saying,
"Trunks, Bulma might do this for you, and yes, even for you, Kakarot."
Both these scenes are great in their different ways, and together paint a complete picture of one of the best and prolonged character transitions in animation, television, media in general, whatever. In a show where death never seems to be a goddamn end to anything, these were instead the beginnings of something and someone new.
He's dead!
Number 3. Yay, another totally depressing one! When I seriously thought about it, I realised, only just recently, Future Trunks is my favourite character in the series. He's a Saiyan, giving him at least a shot at standing in a fight at this point, where every human character and even Piccolo is relegated to support and or spectator, but he isn't a complete fucking moron like Goku or Vegeta.
Hey, Vegeta, mind if I absorb 18 and become an unstoppable force of evil? It'll be fun.
Fun, you say?
No! No! No!
But his story itself is also easily the most tragic one of anyone in the series. And I swear, every time the show introduces Future Trunks or the Future Timeline, whether the Android Saga, History of Trunks, or in Dragon Ball Super's new Black Saga, the overall feel and even quality of the show, in terms of writing and depth, seem to go up. And none more so than in this scene in the DBZ movie History of Trunks. Trunks goes Super Saiyan for the first time. No, not that time. No, that's not even the right version of Trunks, for fuck's sake. Why would you even... Yeah, I know this was an open invitation, GT, but we didn't actually expect you to Look, we were having a good time. Don't make a scene, just please, thank you. For those who don't know, Future Trunks, distinct from simply regular timeline Trunks, is the time-travelling son of Vegeta and Bulma, who first appeared midway through Dragon Ball Z, introducing the androids, and by extension, Cell sagas, warning the characters of the present of the danger to come that had already destroyed his future. And what this future is exactly is shown in History of Trunks. The majority of the main characters have been killed, including Piccolo, meaning that the Dragon Balls no longer exist, and the only people left to fight are now grown-up Gohan and young Trunks. Wanting to help stop the androids, 17 and 18, Trunks seeks the training of Gohan with hopes of becoming a Super Saiyan like him. If you know the general formula for Dragon Ball, you should see where this goes, right? 700 episodes or so of training, drawn out battle against the bad guys, eventually pull it out the hat and win, right? Right? Well, here's my point. When it comes to the Future Trunks stuff, shit be dark. In this world, there's no Goku to show up at the last minute and bullshit his way to victory. There's no fix-all Dragon Balls. So when Gohan goes up against the androids alone, well, yeah. Transformation scenes are a staple of Dragon Ball, but when it comes to choosing the best of them, my deciding factor isn't the scale, the lightning, or how much needless collateral damage it caused. For fuck's sake, Goku, stop! Just stop! Stop it, you hedgehog bastard! What made this one is the emotion behind the transformation. We're constantly told Super Saiyan can only be achieved by pure emotional rage. For Goku, this was Krillin dying. For Gohan, well, a lot of shit. But with Trunks, bar his mother, Gohan was all Trunks had left. And just like everyone else, he's gone. It took something this bad to finally bring the best out of him. And the scene is just amazing. The score, the rain, the dark clouds, that red lighting, it's fantastically shot and fantastically painful. It's a defining moment for the character, someone who arguably knows loss and the costs of failure far greater than anyone else, because he had to learn it the hard way. Kinda makes the main Dragon Ball's enabled timeline seem a little bit cheap. Oh no, Frieza just blew up an entire city! So Gohan, nice tracksuit! Ha 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 ha! Thousands just died. Number 2. Of all the moments to pick from the Namek and Frieza saga, with Super Saiyan transformations, Spirit Bomb, a fuck ton of fighting, this final moment of relative quiet immediately after the battle might seem a bit of a strange choice, but out of all of Dragon Ball, it's one of those scenes which stuck with me the strongest. Frieza begs Goku for mercy. After finally surpassing Frieza and clearly gaining the upper hand since his Super Saiyan transformation, Goku, in typical Goku fashion, basically says, "Okay, I'm done," and asks Frieza nicely not to do any more genocide, leaving an ego-crushed Frieza with his shame. of course in typical Frieza fashion, Snake Attack Frisbees! Shortly followed by self-dismemberment. The exchange from here is what I'm mainly concerned with though. Firstly, the Falconer track for this moment is one of my favourites, building up the scene, beginning with victorious Goku looking down on his dying enemy, and with perhaps a tiny hint of pity for such a mighty adversary to have fallen so far, he turns around and begins to walk away, tired of fighting, perhaps for the first time in his life, and still needing to find a way off this planet before it explodes. But, after so many episodes of ruthlessness and arrogance, Frieza begs for help.
Please, help me. You can't leave me here.
All the while, Goku is left struggling between saving himself before the planet explodes, his rage at Frieza for killing his best friend, but also his natural soft heart and forgivingness, and desire to see the good in anybody, always compelling him to extend a hand even to his worst enemies.
Don't let me die.
I mean, it worked with Piccolo, so why not— oh shit! Not entirely convinced then, for obvious reasons, Goku rightfully points out how this scenario would be played out if the roles were reversed.
Please, have mercy.
How many people begged for their lives at your feet and you killed them anyway? Did you show me mercy when I asked you to spare my best friend Krillin?
But Frieza even asks for forgiveness, something you could be pretty certain he's never done before in his entire life, of wiping out entire races for the funsies. But even with that in mind, you almost do feel some sympathy for the guy. Or at least, Goku certainly does. Whether a genuine act of forgiveness or simply his inability to go against his nature, Goku spares Frieza, providing him with some of his own energy, and, well, you can take a guess just how thankful Frieza is to him.
And where I can't help but wonder, will you be at the moment of truth? The vacuum of space, I think, will hardly be kind to a creature such as yourself. Wouldn't you agree? I hate to gloat, but there's a lesson here on the virtue of mercy. Its only value is to your foe.
This scene, in both the Funimation original dub and Kai, work in so many ways. The music, the visuals, the dialogue between these two enemies, and as the final point in this amazing and series-defining arc, it underlines the final, fatal difference between these two incredibly powerful but totally opposing forces. In victory, Goku stays true to his character, sparing the life of an unworthy enemy, while even in defeat, and given a second chance, Frieza cannot change his character, turning on probably the only person in the universe who would have ever shown him mercy.
None surpass me. No one even comes close. Etch this into your skull. I am Emperor of the Universe. The likes of you are only fit to grovel at my feet. Or better still, to die in disgrace at the hands of your master! You fool!
Of course he comes back in the next arc as Mecha Frieza, and then again in Fusion Reborn, Plan to Eradicate the Saiyans, Resurrection F, GT. Number 1. The appearance of the legendary Super Saiyan Bro. No, I can't. No. It's ruined. Let's just start over. Number 1. The climax of a massive 3-season story arc spanning the future Trunks, androids, and Cell sagas. The culmination of a major character storyline which began with the very first episode. The end of one of, or arguably the best villain in the entire franchise. My top moment from all Dragon Ball: Gohan vs Cell, the Kamehameha battle. The final episodes of this arc featured a whole host of top moments in quick succession, worthy of mention on this list in themselves. Android 16's death, Gohan's transformation, Goku's sacrifice, Cell's return, Vegeta finally acknowledging his son and his attempted revenge, but it all comes down to this one final, fantastic confrontation. The stakes are at their highest point here, as Perfect Cell, having just regenerated from self-destructing and killing Goku in the process, is more powerful than ever, and has decided to put an end to, well, everything. Having until this point been toying with the fighters, particularly Gohan, trying to draw out his full power. Trunks is down, Vegeta is down, Gohan only has use of one arm, and there's shit all the others can do at this point. But just as things are at their darkest, Goku speaks to his son from Otherworld, giving him the encouragement he needs to rise to Cell's challenge and in a last-ditch effort to avenge his father, save the world. There is so much I love about this whole sequence, from the visuals, to the glorious soundtrack, the American Funimation dub anyway, to just how it captures everything the series has been building up to from the beginning, marking the point Goku finally passes the torch to his son. And if we never knew about what the Buu saga would end up doing to Gohan, it would have been the perfect ending to the entire series. I love the parts where the scene cuts to and from Goku talking to Gohan, the music and lighting changing just for a few moments, then fading back to the darkening sky of the battlefield with Cell. The dialogue is naturally a little corny, as with most of the series,
Darn it!
but it's still cool, and I fucking love Damian Clark's Cell. He actually does some of the best voice work of the show.
First I'll destroy you, then your friends, and then this worthless planet. But before I do, I want you to remember something. I will live forever!
It's Gohan alone, facing the end of the world, and, unlike his father, totally demoralized, and frankly, he's given up. This is actually what I like about the character. He isn't Goku. He doesn't enjoy battle like his father does. Since he was a boy, Goku wanted to learn to fight and become stronger. Since he was a boy, Gohan was only ever forced into learning to fight due to necessity, and having always hinted at having some kind of hidden power beyond any of the other protagonists. But it's breaking down this brick wall of self-doubt that's the only thing stopping him here. I blame Chi-Chi, and while Cell taunts and charges his final attack, it's Goku who pushes him to step up. Then comes the battle itself. One blast versus another, a tug-of-war of powers, escalating higher and higher with one seeming to get the upper hand, followed by the other by what is seriously the bulk of an entire episode. But it's one of the most tension-fueled moments of the series. While this is going on, however, the other fighters, rather than relegated to spectators as every other non-Super Saiyan inevitably becomes, they all actually get a moment here, and I love it. Piccolo, who sacrificed himself before for this kid who he sees almost as a son, jumps into the fray, trying to draw some of Cell's attention. Tien and goddamn Yamcha even jump in. Krillin gives what he guesses is his final farewells to an unconscious 18, as even he joins in. Still my favourite couple of the series, by the way. Well, alongside Beerus and Whis. And lastly, the pride and body-shattered Vegeta, normally the first to act, is here reluctant. At this time, Vegeta's been going through a bit of an emotional turmoil anyway. His son from the future that he never even cared to speak to was just killed, his best attempts to avenge him proving futile, and when things were at their darkest, even he gave up completely. But in a small moment of redemption, it's his contribution which finally turns the tide, giving Gohan the opening to finish the job. More fantastic visuals, the fear on Cell's face, Gohan walking forward, one arm out. The end of a great villain, the emotional end of a character arc. You know, before puberty hit in and he became that. The end of one of the best storylines in the franchise, and easily my top Dragon Ball moment of all time. So, that concludes my countdown. I very much hope you enjoyed, and as always, feel free to mention some of your own favourite moments in the comments. With a franchise this huge, there are of course countless other moments just as good as the ones featured here, and perhaps in the future, if this countdown goes down well, I might discuss some of these more best moments. But for now, that's all from me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.
monster!